Good afternoon. Welcome to Armstrong Fieldhouse here on the campus of SMU. I'm Rich Phillips. This is the Pony Up Pregame Show presented by Origin Bank as we prepare you for the Mustangs Top 20 Showdown at Ford Stadium tonight. The Mustangs at 20th in the country hosting the 18th ranked and undefeated Pitt Panthers here. Obviously a huge one in ACC play as these teams are both undefeated in league play and trying to keep pace with Miami and Clemson at the top. As always, joining me here on the show today is Scott Garner. Of course, he and I will be together on the radio broadcast later on this evening as well at 7 o'clock on 96.7 and 1310 The Ticket. Boy, I know with about 3 seconds left in last Saturday's game, we did not think SMU would be 7-1 coming into this game.
No, that's six. It wasn't the 5 turnover. It was the 6 turnover.
That did it.
Yeah, we're very fortunate, Rich.
Yeah, wild one last week. Obviously, SMU wins 28-27 at Duke. Look, when you turn the ball over 3 times, you probably aren't going to win. When you turn it over 4 times, you shouldn't win. 5 times, you can't win, right?
I've never heard of an adage for 6.
It's only the second time in this century that a team has won, being -6 in the turnover ratio. And it just took a calamity of things to happen to Duke, I think, in order for that to happen for SMU to get that win.
Yeah, and I was kind of thinking about this on the way home after that game that, hey, they were down 14 points and they could have easily gone away. But that's the difference between playing in a Power 4 conference and playing in a league like the American, because a lot of teams would have gone away. They did not go away. They didn't go away today when they were battling Miami. Yeah. That Duke team is a very good team. That was a good win. I don't care how you slice it.
For SMU, Kevin Jennings did throw for 258 yards and a touchdown, but he was at the center of the turnovers. 3 interceptions, fumbled 2 more times, and he actually fumbled 2 other times that were recovered, one by him for a touchdown, one by Logan Parr. 5 turnovers alone by the quarterback. We mentioned the 6 overall. The biggest thing is Duke didn't score a single point off 6 takeaways in the game. That's hard for the defense to pull that off.
Really hard, and it just goes to show you the kind of healthy culture that this Mustang team has. And, you know, at every turn, no matter what league you're in, no matter what program you take over, you have to build a culture. And we've seen that time and again, and it goes back to this team not quitting, this team not giving up, even with that 6 turnover. Thank goodness Jafari Harvey didn't think that the game was over, because he made maybe the play of the season, Rich, with that block.
You know, Brashard Smith had the game-winning touchdown, but there's no doubt the game-winning play was Jafari Harvey blocking a field goal. So this is something that Coach Calvin Thibodeau, the defensive line coach, had seen a couple of weeks ago online. He saw an NFL team do this, and he sent it to Casey Horney, who is the assistant special teams coach and the kicking coach, and he thought it looked interesting. Well, then in scouting Duke, they noticed that their offensive line did not raise up on field goals. They stayed down.
Yes.
Because there's 2 big keys. You can't run at the line and do that, and you can't touch anybody when you jump. Rhett Lashley said they repped it 1 time last week.
1 time. That's what was so unbelievable about it. They hadn't even done it in a game yet, and to be able to install it so quickly and be able to execute it, that hardly ever works out. But it did. And,
it did.
Hey, and he didn't jump over the center either, which is something you worry about. He came right over the guard, and it's such a smart play. And, man, he's got some great athletic ability to be able to jump twice.
That's the other thing, is he had to hop right off the ground again to come up with the block. And then, of course, it led to Brashard Smith scoring the go-ahead touchdown in overtime, capping a 117-yard, 2-touchdown performance for him, his 4th 100-yard game. He's 3rd in the ACC, by the way, in rushing this season, 745 yards, and he averages 6.4 per carry. He has been outstanding in his first year here at SMU.
Rich, I thought he was as good last week as we've seen in the entire season. He was so good, so sharp from the outset. Brashard Smith, 23 for 117, as you talked about, 2 touchdowns, and the 24-yard touchdown run in overtime was just splendid. But how about finishing off that very first touchdown of the game? He has to make a cut 7 yards away from the goal line because he tried to get to the edge, realized he couldn't get to the corner, and then had to power through not 1 but 2 tackles. I just thought that was tremendous, but he ran angry. And there was a time where he drew a face mask early in the game, but I thought he set the tone. And I thought L.J. Johnson, as good as Brashard Smith was, I thought that the carries that L.J. got were very key. Our offensive line did well. I thought we were better in pass protection than we were actually firing off the ball to run the football. I thought we were better in pass protection last week. But those 2 running backs, they're going to be critical. And given our injury situation, we got to keep LJ healthy.
Well, and how about the fact that because of the injury situation at running back, Roderick Daniels Jr. hasn't really practiced at receiver for a month because he became the backup running back? Well, Jake Bailey gets hurt in the first half the other night. They go to him and say, hey, we need you to play receiver.
Yeah.
He had a 72 and an 81-yard catch and scored on one of them, and 2 catches for 153 without practicing at the position.
Yeah, and he had the outside release on that go route, ran right past that backup safety, as it were, Deshaun Stone, and the 31 carries the last 4 games, none against. I think Daniels has been really good for him to be able to step in and go from wide receiver to running back and do it so effortlessly and so proficiently. I think it says a lot about the coaching staff. It's not just these players. This team is very well coached, Rich.
And then the ACC Defensive Back of the Week was Isaiah Wacobia. He had 13 tackles, a pass breakup, and I think he has really continued in league play to step it up more and more every week. And you can say what you want about the physicality on the defense. I think it starts actually with Wacobia at times.
Career high, tying 13 tackles in that ball game last week. I thought it was his best game. He's had some good games, but I thought that was his best. He was unrelenting at getting to the line of scrimmage, and a lot of safeties are good in coverage, but rarely will you see a guy attack so fervently like Isaiah Wacobia. He was really, really good. Now, he did struggle at times. Even he struggled against Eli Pancol, who I thought had his best game of the year. That wide receiver for Duke is just fantastic, but Wacobia made a tremendous 1-against-3 tackle in the screen game. I don't know if you remember that, but that was just a tremendous play, and his blitz later in the game forced a bad throw from Murphy late in that second quarter. He was late to the point of attack a couple of times, but for the most part, Wacobia not only good in pass coverage, but he was very, very good tackling.
SMU up to 20th in both the coaches and the AP polls this week, and they host tonight 7-0 Pitt. They're 3-0 in the league. They're 18th in the AP poll, 17th in the coaches poll. They're coming in off a 41-13 win over Syracuse last Thursday, a game in which they had 5 interceptions and ran back 3 of those for touchdowns. And you're coming off a 6 turnover game, so what could go wrong?
Exactly. The things that don't necessarily look that great on paper when you match these two teams up. However, when you look at it, this is the first 7-0 Pitt team since 1982. And the quarterback is a freshman, Eli Holstein, the first Pitt quarterback to win his first 7 games since that time when Dan Marino did it for Pitt. This is a very good matchup today, and you and I talked about it off air. This Pitt team loves to blitz. They're going to put 7, 8, sometimes 9 when they drop a safety down in the box, Rich. And it's going to be incumbent on the offensive line to pass protect well, but Jennings has to be good today.
Holstein, the Pittsburgh quarterback, 1,808 yards, 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's also, even at 6'4", he's their second leading rusher at 286 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then he's got a great running back, a transfer from Western Carolina, Desmond Reed, who he's a bit shorter than Eli is. He's like 5'8", and he's run for 541 yards. He's also caught passes for 341 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's had a 100-yard receiving game this year, too.
Really like Desmond Reed. He's small, and when you look at him, it's like, how did this guy end up going to Western Carolina before coming to a place like Pitt? Because he absolutely is a Power 4 running back. There's no doubt. But when you get him into a coach's office, I mean, he's luckily 5. I mean, he might be 5'8". He's that small, but he is so good. 4'3", 40 guy. He has caught the eye of so many scouts. One of the best runners in the country. He can put his foot in the ground and get vertical in a hurry. It only takes him about 2 steps to get the full speed. This is a dangerous runner. He'll be the most dangerous running back we will have faced yet.
It's only the 7th all-time meeting between SMU and Pitt. The last one came in the 2012 Compass Bowl in Birmingham, Alabama. And the only other time the two schools played here in Dallas was the 1983 Cotton Bowl.
Yes.
SMU won 7-3 on a very cold, rainy, sleety day at the Cotton Bowl. SMU 3-2-1 all-time against the Pitt Panthers. It is a 7 o'clock kick tonight at Ford Stadium. Our pregame show, radio-wise, starts at 6:30. We will be on 96.7 and 1310 The Ticket, the SMU app, and Sirius XM Channel 193, so be sure you tune in for us there. We told you some about that amazing SMU one-point win over Duke. Let's look back at some of the highlights from last Saturday.
Next game we're talking about, Dawn, is number 22 SMU at Duke. Who would have thought? Listen, this is an important bar to clear for SMU to keep their ACC hopes alive. Right now, SMU is one of 4 teams in the ACC with a perfect conference record this year.
I mean, it's going to be a fun matchup to watch.
Dawn, ultimately, in what is a really big ACC game, who ends up winning it?
We welcome you to a Saturday night at the old fabled Horseshoe on the West Campus. First meeting since 1956 off the Duke 47. Jennings slips it on the perimeter. Around the corner goes Brashard Smith. And inside the 35 toward the 33 and another SMU first down. So Ryan Smith comes up with the giveaway by the Mustangs. Here comes the pressure. Quick throw back across the middle. Broken up. Trying to get it to Samir Higgins. And Moses was there again defensively. Duke's taking a 7-0 lead on SMU. And here go the Mustangs now trying to answer the Duke call. Brashard Smith with 6 yards on the first down. Who plays for SMU now? Here's Jennings up in the pocket. To his left. Is he going to throw? Sure. Sidearm shot. And it's caught. And that is Keyshawn Smith. And I believe it's a catch at the 42 of Duke. Through 15 minutes of play. Duke's got the only mark in the game on a Murphy to Brown touchdown. Brashard Smith, tail of the eye. There's a pitch to the far side. Foot race. Stetson hems up Smith. Took a shot. Falls into the end zone. SMU touchdown for Brashard Smith. So here's Murphy and the Blue Devils from the 25 in a tie game. Quick throw to the perimeter. That's Higgins. And Samir Higgins will be taken down by Moses. 2-by-2 look for Murphy. Another quick shot. Way off target that time, looking for Harvey again. There were white shirts around him too. Blue Devils look like they might bring 4. Jennings going to keep it, create the run path to the near side. And Kevin Jennings knocked out at the 15, and that's a first down. You got Hudson to the boundary, 3 receivers to the top. And it's going to be Jennings. And the ball popped loose. Is there a ruling? I haven't seen a touchdown signal yet. It is now a touchdown for Kevin Jennings. SMU gets back-to-back touchdown drives to finish the first half. Brashard Smith early in the quarter from 1 yard, then Kevin Jennings in the final 4 minutes from 3 yards out. The Mustangs are going to take a 14-7 lead to the locker room, but tight end 3 receivers. They're going to hand the ball to Thomas, and he will make it 3rd and 1. Here's the Murphy throw, and trying to go to Moore, and incompletion is forced by Crossley. Jennings pulls and shoots in the middle of the field, and breaking away. This is Roderick Daniels. Got 2 Blue Devils to beat inside the 10 and pulled down. The Blue Devil defense gets the hold at home back after this. 3rd down again for Duke. Pressure coming, and Murphy will be sacked. Cameron Robertson. The tree. Jennings up in the pocket, downfield, and that is Daniels wide open. There'll be no play at the pylon this time. Roderick Daniels scores. 81 yards. Number 22, SMU leads Duke by 8. We go to quarter 4 next. Comes up with the interception on SMU's 4th turnover, and now the Blue Devils with 8.5 to go have a chance to take the lead. Run game with Thomas. And Star Thomas will get 3 to the 34. Pancole to the boundary, and a quick throw, and this is Jordan Moore, and trouble lurking. Is ready. Here's Murphy, a gunshot throw. That's Pancole. Murphy to throw. Now just going to sail it out of bounds. He almost threw it in the student section. Polino snapped his streak of 81 straight extra points with a miss. Now this is a field goal from 42 to give the Blue Devils the lead. Kick from Polino is no good. He pulled it left. And Duke's got the ball at the SMU 39. 3:57 to go in a tie game. 2nd down play. Thomas the carry. Right into a stack and thrown back. Snap to Murphy. Here come the Mustangs. Hit as he throws. Lobs it up in the air, and it's almost picked. And so Cade Reynolds has come out. And Roderick Daniels stands at the 9. That is 8 yards deep in the end zone. And now the Mustangs with 2:55. It's picked up. Here goes Nicholas, and he's tackled inside the 15. Off the 14. 13. Thomas just rolls into the stack. The last 3 Mustang possessions, Luke's, all ended turnovers. And Todd Polino, who missed an extra point, has missed a field goal, is going to have a chance to win it in the end for Duke. Catch is blocked. And SMU falls on it, and we're going
For overtime, the options are offense, defense, which end of the field. There's no deferral. Same coin that we'll be using. The ACC logo will be the heads. The championship trophy in the back will be the tails. Should we reach a second overtime, if either team scores a touchdown, you have to go for 2 points. Should we reach a third overtime or beyond, it will only be a 2-point conversion trap. Questions? SMU is your toss to call, heads or tails? Tails is the call. It's a heads.
We're going to defend.
Hold on. Play on defense first. Want to attack that way?
And Duke and SMU's third meeting is the first one ever to go to overtime. Of course, the last time they played, Sonny Jurgensen was the Blue Devil quarterback. Snap to Jennings. Here goes Brashard Smith. 10-5, SMU in front first. 24-yard touchdown run, Brashard Smith. Now Murphy and the Blue Devils. Touchdown, Duke! What do we have here? The Blue Devils are going to play for the win. Here's Murphy now. He's got Thomas with him. 3 to the right, Pack hold to the boundary at the left. Here's Murphy. Buying time to his right. Throws and incomplete. No flags. SMU wins.
There you have it, SMU with a 28-27 win over Duke last week, improving to 7-1 on the year. Rich Phillips here on the Pony Up Pregame Show presented by Origin Bank. Let's get to Rhett to the point. These are some clips each week we have from Rhett Lashley, the Mustangs head coach, at his weekly show, the Pony Express Show, over at Ozona Grill and Bar on Wednesday nights. It's also here on the SMU Mustangs Facebook page. Well, there wasn't a lot of good. At the end, at least, it was good for SMU last week, but there was a lot of bad with 6 turnovers in that game. However, Coach Lashley says there were still a lot of good things they did throughout the night.
That was the number 1 defense in the country in tackles for loss. They were averaging right at 10 a game. We only had 2 the whole game.
Yep.
That was the number 1 third down defense in our league and one of the top 5 in the country. It's like 23%. We were 50% on third down. They were a top pass defense in our league, like 150 a game. We threw for 260. They were the top sacks defense in our league, 0 sacks. Yeah. So you look at the stats and you go, we were doing the things we needed to do offensively to win the game, and then we turned it over 6 times. But also probably equally more impressive than our 6 turnovers was our defense gave up 0 points, as y'all have already mentioned. Mm-hmm. And in the moment, it was easy to say, I don't know if we deserve to win that game. Then looking at the film, I told our team on Monday, I said, no, you guys deserve to win that game. They did. Now, Duke could argue they deserved to win it, and I don't disagree with that. They played a great game, and that's what you think as a coach. It's hard. I mean, one team has to lose, and those guys played incredible on that side. But the way our guys played overall, pretty good.
And they do get down there to the final 3 seconds of the game. Duke is lining up for a 30-yard field goal. Only one hope that SMU had was the new play they had just put in.
It's similar to a Hail Mary, right? Like, you practice it.
It is.
Our staff, again, Tibbs' idea, got with Casey Horney and Kyle Cooper. They did work on it. It was kind of cool when we showed our guys. We kind of have a victory tape when we win on Mondays. We celebrate the victory, and we have 30, 40 clips of the game and some of it from practice and stuff, and we just have a good time before we move on. And right before we showed Far Eye's kick, we showed the scout team rep from practice, where Paris Patterson, our offensive lineman, did a great job of giving the exact look Duke did, and Jafari jumped over it and blocked it. To their point, we did it one time.
There you go.
And it's all we needed.
It's all they needed on Saturday night to give them the chance to win the game in overtime. Now it's 7-1, hosting 7-0 Pitt here tonight. Pitt only won 3 games all of last season, but Red says this has been a really good program under Pat Narduzzi.
They won 20 games in the 2 years previous to last year, and they're undefeated this year. I think last year's the exception. Pat knows how to coach football, and what he's done as a defensive coach is he's had the the self-confidence in himself to go out and hire a really good coordinator who plays up tempo. They're similar to us on offense. They stretch the field vertically. They run it. They throw it. They play fast. This will be the fastest offense we've played all year in terms of our opponents. And for a defensive coach to do that and still have great defense, I think says a lot about him and just his belief in what they do.
That's Rhett to the Point with SMU head coach Rhett Lashley, brought to you by Origin Bank. Origin knows that strong teams can accomplish by working together. Origin's trusted advisors help keep you and your financial goals within reach. Get the right people on your team today at origin.bank, member FDIC. Time now for our view from the sideline. We bring in our third member of this broadcast crew, as well as our third member on the radio broadcast crew. It is sideline reporter Steve Lansdale. And Steve, we've talked about it a lot already. Scott and I have. A lot to bounce back from even after a win, especially for the quarterback, given that he was responsible for 5 of those 6 turnovers last Saturday night.
Right, exactly. I mean, Kevin did a lot of things right last week, but of course they were overshadowed by the turnovers. And so a big part of today's game is going to be how he responds to his first real adversity since he's taken over as the starting quarterback. A few weeks ago when SMU beat Florida State, somebody asked Rhett Lashley about the fact that in his last 5 starts, Kevin Jennings had led South Oak Cliff to a state title. He had beaten Tulane for an American Athletic Conference championship. He had beaten the crosstown rival TCU. He'd beaten the defending. I mean, he had an unbelievable start. And Coach Lashley's response was that, Kevin is so cool and so level-headed that he just doesn't realize that one game is different from another. That kind of cool level-headedness is going to be key today because we saw what the Duke defense did last week, and Pitt's defense, as you've been describing, is absolutely relentless. They're going to throw everything at him. So how he responds will be critical. If he throws an early interception, if he has a fumble, how will he respond? There's some things you can do with running the ball a lot and short, safe play calls like screen passes and slants and that kind of thing. And then the rest of it, from my standpoint on the sideline, how will the coaches and teammates help pick him up? He talked after the game last week about how grateful he was that all of his teammates picked him up after the turnovers. He may need that again. Obviously, the Mustangs are hoping that he won't need that again because he'll bounce back with a better performance. One other factor that could come into play tonight is weather. I do know the weather forecast is looking a little better than I think it was a day or two ago, but there is a chance for some rain, especially in the later portion of the game, I think, here tonight. Yeah, there is. And since I'm the one who's going to be down on the sideline, I've been watching that too. And weather can factor into it. I think it'll be less significant for Pitt than it will be for SMU simply because Pittsburgh gets more cold, dreary, rainy, foggy, mucky days than Dallas does. So again, it's how does each team respond? The field at Ford Stadium drains fairly well. I think we all remember last year against Tulsa when the SMU bench looked like a lake about an hour before kickoff. But again, even then it drained remarkably well. If it gets rain, if we get heavy rain during the game and the field gets soggy, there are things the equipment guys can do in terms of changing out the cleats that people wear, the gloves that the receivers and DBs wear, and the rest is up to play calling. Run the ball a lot. They ran the ball 50 times last week against Duke. And the more it rains, the more you'll see shorter, more conservative plays, and then it's a matter of which team takes better care of the ball. All right, that's Steve Lansdale with our view from the sideline. Steve will be on the radio broadcast with us tonight from down on the SMU sideline. It starts at 7 o'clock on 96.7 and 1310 The Ticket. Believe it or not, basketball season is here. Monday night, both the SMU women and men open up at Moody Coliseum. And let's find out a little bit more about the women's team as head coach Toya Wilson joins our Bree Sorensen.
Bree Sorensen here, and today we're walking baseline to baseline with the one and only SMU women's basketball head coach, Toya Wilson. Coach T, first of all, how's it going?
Great. Everything is amazing. We're glad to be back. It's such a different vibe, an exciting vibe right now.
Yeah, so this is going into your 4th season here coaching at SMU, your first in the ACC. Just how has your coaching experience been overall at SMU?
It's been amazing. I mean, just the overall support, the crowd, the community, the recruits we're getting in here. I'm really excited to now be on top and be on one of the Power 4 conferences in the country. And so we're just anxious and can't wait till we get this opportunity to start playing.
Absolutely. Now you have 8 newcomers coming in this season. Can you tell me about the talent on this team?
I mean, it's going to be a lot of experience. So we wanted to recruit some experience. We wanted to recruit some really exciting players that can score the ball, but to also blend with the kids that we have returning. And so I'm really excited for them to get that team chemistry. And when we went to Greece and Croatia, we got to do that a little bit and really get to learn each other's weaknesses and strengths. And so that really played a part. And so now we're just getting back into the swing of things.
Absolutely. Now, Coach, here's an interesting question for you. If you had any coaching superpower, what would it be and why?
Definitely probably someone in my makeup being done right away.
Because we know you come ready, Coach, though, with your whole fit and makeup, the hair and all. So if you could just be ready like that.
Yes, right away. I just need, when I'm about to walk on the court, I'm already ready, done. Don't have to wait 40 minutes to get my hair done.
Awesome. Well, we're on our baseline, Coach T. Thank you so much and good luck this season.
Thank you so much. Pony up.
Here's Bree Sorensen with Toya Wilson, and yes, the SMU women will open up Monday at 4:30. They'll host North Carolina A&T. The men then will play at 7:30 on Monday at Moody Coliseum against Tarleton State. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. We're going to talk men's golf. Chris Parra, the men's golf coach, is here to join us with Steve Lansdale. Take it away.
Coach, thank you for joining us. First of all, starting out 17th in the country in the rankings right now. Obviously, the biggest story for the last year around SMU athletics has been the move to the Atlantic Coast Conference. We talk about that move a lot on this show in terms of how it affects the football program. So I'll ask you what I've asked other coaches who have come on. How does the ACC landscape look for men's golf, and where does SMU fit into that picture?
You know, we're going to be very competitive in the ACC. It probably now has become the strongest golf conference in the country, adding us and Stanford and Cal. I think 14 of the 16 teams are ranked in the top 50 in the country. It doesn't really change our schedule a whole lot throughout the year. But when you go to your conference championship, it's going to be a battle.
You've played 4 tournaments this fall. You got a 3rd place finish in the Trinity Forest Invitational on your home course. You got a 2nd place finish at the Stevens Cup up at Oklahoma. How would you characterize the way your team has played so far in comparison also to your expectations for your team this season?
You know, the guys are getting older. So they're, you got a few juniors now and a sophomore here and Enrique transferring in. So we're getting a little bit older and guys are starting to get wiser and minimizing the small mistakes that just add up over and over and over. But so far this fall, we ended on a really good note. Not having Enrique at our home event might have affected us a little bit, but we still battled till the very end. And then finishing second at the Stevens Cup, getting a win against Oklahoma, and then battling against Oklahoma State in match play, who's right now a powerhouse. So it was a lot of fun. The guys got a lot of experience.
One of your players, Will Sides, was an all-conference performer last year. He's on the preseason watch list for the Haskins Award, which is like golf's Heisman Trophy given to the best player in the country. What do you like most about his game, or what are his biggest strengths, and what's his ceiling?
You know, I don't know if there is a ceiling. I mean, my goal is to help these kids reach their ultimate goal, whether he plays the PGA Tour and wins multiple times out there. I mean, that's very doable. Will's an incredible ball striker, and another thing I really love about him is how even keel he is out there. You don't see him ever too high. You don't ever see him very low if he's not playing well or not hitting shots. But Will's a great all-around player, and this wind, I think, might propel him to big things the last year and a half of his college career.
Your team is one of just 7 in the country that has 3 players ranked in the top 70, Will Sides, Enrique Dimayuga, and Zachary Kingsland. Is it too simplistic to say that your team's success will be as far as those 3 take you, or is it more of a balanced attack for your group?
No, I mean, we plan on those 3 probably playing well most often, every event, not necessarily every tournament round, because you do have the 2 other players. So we're a 5, usually take 5, count 4 each day. So, it is up to our 4 and 5 guy to really step up too. Our 6th place finishes the first 2 tournaments a year were very big tournaments with great fields. And we had a couple guys play well, a couple guys play average, and then someone not so well, and you finish 6th. I mean, the top 30, 40 college golf teams, if you don't have your A game, it's really hard to compete.
a lot of coaches talk about their team's success being based in large part on what their players do in the offseason. And your next tournament, if I'm not mistaken, isn't until February. So how much do you get to work with your players between now and then, and what will you ask of them as they get ready for the spring portion of your schedule?
We're going to sit down this next week and talk to each one of them individually, go over some stats and a plan for their next 2 months. I really try to give them some free time to catch up on school and really work on some technical stuff that they might need to work on. And then if they need us, we're there. But it's basically off season. Those guys go hard 6 days a week. They go well over their 20 hours that we're allowed. I mean, they practice till dark. They're there before we start practice. So it's, the body needs time to recover. So I'm hoping that they listen to me and Coach Wilkins and Coach Donnell and take some time off and really let the body recover, because the spring season is fast and furious.
Chris Parra, coach of the 17th ranked Mustangs. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Have a great day.
Appreciate it, Chris. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Steve. And we'll have Steve back here in a few moments as well here on the Pony Up pregame show. We're getting ready for SMU and Pitt tonight at Ford Stadium with a 7 o'clock kick. The 7th all-time meeting between the two schools as we meet the enemy here. Scott Garner back with me. The Pitt offense has been outstanding this year. 25th in the nation passing the ball, 25th in total offense, and they're 6th in scoring at 40.9 per game. Now, the last 2 weeks, they have not thrown for much. 133 against Cal, 144 against Syracuse. They didn't have to do much against Syracuse because their defense did it all. But I thought Cal really limited this Pitt offense very well in that game.
They did, and, hey, we talked about their offense. Pitt's very good on the offensive end. However, their defense is really what they hang their hat on, and that's what a lot of great teams do. You take a look at college football up and down the board, that's what they do, and that's what this team does. And this is a team that blitzes a ton. They're going to blitz more than they want. Some people that scout them say, hey, they base out of blitz. Very unusual to do that, but that's what Pete Narduzzi has sort of established with this team. But they're going to blitz a ton. And also what they do, watch for this, Rich. They are going to try and formation you to death. They'll run a lot of guys in motion, but they'll also try to play fast. And when you mix all of that up, I was talking to somebody very close to the Pitt program, and I said, all right, you've explained all this. Of every 100 plays that you guys run, of every 100 plays, how many times is the defense either not set or not lined up properly? And he said, about 25 times, about 25% of the time. That's 1 out of every 4 plays. You're not lined up and you're not ready to go. That's first and foremost. That's going to be one of our keys to success tonight, Rich.
They've got a really good group of receivers. Conate Mumfield, 27 catches. Poppy Williams has 5 touchdowns. Kenny Johnson has 24 catches. Oh, and Desmond Reed, their running back, he has 4 touchdown catches on the year, too. He can catch it out of the backfield.
They can. They've got a bevy of wide receivers that are good. They can take a couple of guys can take the top off of the defense, but the running back, I think, is absolutely crucial tonight. He is their key. He can run it. He can catch the football. This is a guy that, again, was recruited by Jimbo Fisher down at A&M. Did not go down there. He ends up going to Alabama and then transfers to Pitt, a guy that's really, really good. We talked about him, but ends up going to Western Carolina. This guy's special, Rich.
Their defense, second in the ACC, behind SMU, by the way, in rush defense at 94 yards per game. But they're 111th in the nation against the pass. So I think we may see the SMU attack kind of flip-flop from what we saw last week, where Duke was so good against the pass,
yes.
SMU focused on the run.
What's interesting, they blitz a ton. They're going to put a lot of guys in the box. So I think not getting behind the chains is more critical tonight than probably in any previous game. They're that good at it. And not only are they good at it, but you look at how they rush and how they stunt. Their defensive ends will line up in what's called a wide 9 technique. And so they're coming at very awkward angles, and typically tackles and guards don't have to contend with that much. They'll have to do it tonight. So communication up front and knowing who we're blocking in pass protection and being watchful of delay blitzes will be paramount tonight.
Let me give you my stat of the week this week.
Okay.
88.4.
88.4, okay.
Rushing yards per game allowed by the SMU defense this season. That leads the ACC. That's 5th in the NCAA. Only 3 teams this year have run for over 100 yards on SMU. 2 of them, Nevada and BYU, did it because they had running quarterbacks in those games. 3 opponents have been held to 65 or less. Duke did run for 98 last week. 88-4, right?
88-4.
The SMU record is 94.2 yards per game.
Wow.
And it was an 83. The only time an SMU team has held an opponent under 107 yards per game against the rush. Last year they were pretty good at 122 per game, but when you only allow your opponents to run for 88 and you run for 201, you can control the football game the way SMU does.
No doubt. And this is the first year that Narduzzi has not focused primarily on time of possession. They brought in a brand new offensive coordinator. He's 31 years old. He was from Western Carolina. He not only has come over to Pitt now to function and operate their offense, but he's brought over the running back. He's brought over a very good wide receiver. So they get a package deal, but they're doing things differently. They're running a lot of plays, certainly a lot different. Look at the time of possession here for this team. They're controlling the ball about 25 minutes, and the opponent's got it for about 35 minutes, and that's completely the opposite of how they've been playing football. So it's been a little bit different for Pitt this year.
It's SMU and Pitt, 7 o'clock tonight, 96.7 and 1310 the ticket for our radio broadcast, as well as Sirius XM Channel 193 and the SMU app. Time now for our Origin Bank Pick'em Challenge. We bring Steve Lansdale back, and our celebrity guest picker here tonight is SMU Athletic Hall of Famer Ira Terrell, 6th all-time in scoring in SMU basketball history, 2nd all-time in total rebounds, and 1st in rebound average. Will we ever see anybody average 13.5 rebounds a game again?
Well, I certainly hope so. I'd love to see it. I mean, I've been waiting on someone to break my single game record. That's
26?
26. I think it's 26, 25, and 24. Somebody just happened to tell me that. I don't know. I didn't remember that.
You had to be reminded, didn't you?
But that's what I want to see. That's what, as they say, records are made to be broken. So if that's going on, that means we got some pretty good players here on the hilltop.
All right, well, let's get to some football games, shall we, here?
Okay, I don't know how much I know about it, but I'm going to close my eyes and guess.
I don't know how much we know.
That's what Steve's been doing all year, so it's business as usual.
Yeah, but I'm in last place, too.
I went 4-1 last week. Y'all both went 3-2. I've won 26. Scott's won 25. Steve's won 24. So we're not that great.
All right.
6 o'clock tonight. 10th-ranked Texas A&M will be at South Carolina. The Aggies are 7-0, 5-1 in the SEC. South Carolina 4-3. They're 2-3 in the conference. A&M is trying to stay at the top of the SEC. This is their best conference start since opening Big 12 play. 7-0 in 1998.
They are, and I have picked against A&M twice, and I've paid for it twice. But because I'm in last place and I need to make up some ground, I will take the other angle, which is South Carolina is 2 plays away from being 6-1, and I need to get pick up a win on you guys, so I'm going to go South Carolina.
All right, Ira?
I'm going to agree. I'm going with South Carolina. They played well, and a lot of teams have played well and didn't finish. I'm going to go with the minor upset, South Carolina.
Interesting. A&M, they were down 2 scores against LSU, and then they were up 2 scores against LSU. To do that against LSU, that showed me a lot. They played 3 top 10 teams now, and they've not given up more than 24 points in any game. Been very impressed with the Aggies this year. The Aggies beat LSU, I think, tonight.
Aggies are 9th nationally running the football. I'll take Texas A&M.
Hold on.
tonight.
The Aggies aren't playing LSU tonight.
I'm sorry. The Aggies are going to win tonight. Sorry.
There you go.
There you go. 6:30 tonight. Wisconsin is at Iowa. Badgers and the Hawkeyes both 5-3, 3-2. Wisconsin snapped a 3-game win streak in a loss to Penn State last week, while Iowa won. But they've yet to win consecutive Big Ten games this year, Steve.
That's true. They have yet to win consecutive games, but they did beat the brakes off of Northwestern last week. Both teams are 5-3 and playing for the Heartland Trophy.
They are?
I didn't know either. Iowa's without its quarterback, Cade McNamara, today. But this game always comes down to defense and special teams, and it will again. I don't think it'll be particularly pretty, but I think Iowa wins.
Ira?
I will agree once again. I'm going with the Hawkeyes.
He's agreeing with the last place guy over here every time, isn't he?
I feel better when he agrees with me.
Scott?
Well, I tell you, this is, I think it'll be a good game. I think it's going to be a real good game. Both teams, as you mentioned, 5-3. Wisconsin without its quarterback. I was shocked that Iowa beat Minnesota, a Minnesota team who today beat number 24 Illinois, if you'll remember. Only thing worse, though, than having to play offense at Iowa is having to play offense at Iowa at night, and that's what's going to happen. I got got to go with the Hawkeyes.
Like Steve said, I was likely starting their backup quarterback, Brendan Sullivan, but offenses are what matter here. Defenses are what matter. I will take Iowa at home tonight. 6:30 tonight in the ACC. Louisville is at 11th ranked Clemson. Cardinals 5-3. They're 3-2 in the league. Tigers 6-1. They lead the conference at 5-0. Trying to stay ahead of Miami for that top spot in the ACC. You know, Louisville's had a real tough stretch here. They've lost 3 of their last 5, including to Notre Dame, Miami, and little old SMU. It's been a tough little stretch they've had here.
Louisville is a very good team. It really is.
They
but
are.
if Clemson is going to be first and stay in the top 10 and try to solidify a spot in that playoff, the Tigers have everything in the world to play for tonight. And Death Valley is, in a way, it's a little like Kyle Field in College Station. It's a strange, creepy, weird place. A lot of good things happen for the home team. Clemson wins tonight.
I wish you'd let me go first, and then he could have agreed with me. But I am going with Clemson. It's kind of hard to go against Clemson, especially at home. But who knows? Strange things happen. But I'm going to go with the Tigers.
And I think Louisville's a top 25 team. I think you're right. They are a very good team. No question, the top 25. Ask Miami. Miami only beat them 52-45. But Louisville, surely, I think they've forgotten kind of how good they are a little bit with the losses that they've had to endure as of late. But Louisville beat Boston College 31-27. That's a real good win for them. Clemson only beat Virginia by 17, but I think that says more about Virginia than it does Clemson. But I'm going to go with the Tigers tonight.
Steve, you mentioned Death Valley and how tough it is. Clemson has won their last 22 home games played at night.
It's a weird place.
I'll take Clemson.
Unbelievably loud.
6:30 tonight, USC is at Washington. Trojans and the Huskies both 4-4. Boy, this is a classic Big Ten matchup, isn't it, guys? We've all loved to see this one.
Oh, man.
Washington has lost 3 of their last 4, but they've won somehow 18 consecutive home games. Let's go to Ira this time.
All right.
I'm going to go with the home team. And I was talking to a good friend of mine. You may have heard this name before, Steve Endicott.
Yes.
Used to, he said that's a tough. He's a good friend of mine. We work at the same gym. We work on these guns together. Okay.
Yeah.
And he said Washington is a strange place to play. You were talking about Clemson, so is Washington. So it's kind of hard to go against the Huskies. I'm taking the Huskies tonight.
Steve.
This would have been a fantastic marquee game 2 years ago. Neither team is what it's been in the last couple of years. And there is talk out of Southern California that the seat is getting a little warm under USC Lincoln Riley. Thank you. I don't know that the USC alums are going to want to buy out that monstrous contract, but expectations are very high. And if they want to get back into the conversation of at least getting a shot at the playoff, they absolutely have to win. They don't believe in defense, but they can score some points. They're reeling from a loss to Maryland. USC upsets Washington tonight.
Look out.
Yeah. I don't want to give it away, but I kind of like your rationale there, Steve. You know, this was a great game, as you mentioned, last year and even 2 years ago for sure, but they've kind of been in a transition year. Washington's got a new coach, kind of been up and down. USC, I think USC's passed the litmus test. This is a good team. Remember, this was a team that was ranked 11th earlier this year when Minnesota beat them. I'm going to go with the Trojans in this one.
Washington is really good defensively. They lead the nation in pass defense. They're 6th in overall defense. I'm going to take Washington at home tonight. And finally at 7 o'clock tonight, TCU is at Baylor. The Frogs at 5-3, 3-2 in the Big 12. The Bears 4-4. They're 2-3. Each team has won their last 2, and Baylor has done it by scoring a total of 97 points in the last 2 games. Steve?
Every week we have a game that I wish both teams could lose. This is it. I don't know if you feel the same way.
I do.
Okay, good. It's good to have company on that. Baylor, being the green and gold team, of course, is having a blackout tonight, and I hate those things. The coaches know each other very well. Dave Aranda and Sonny Dykes were on Mike Leach's staff at Texas Tech, so there won't be a lot of strategic surprises for either one of them. But as you said, Josh Hoover, TCU's coach, was really hot at the start of the year. Sawyer Robertson, Baylor's quarterback, is one of the hottest quarterbacks in the country now, and they're at home. And I think Baylor wins, which might keep Dave Aranda in his job next year.
All right, Ira?
I'm going with Baylor as well. They have been playing well, and perhaps the TCU team that showed up here in September, that's the team that'll show up in Waco, and it won't even be a game by the middle of the third quarter. So I'm gonna take the Baylor Bears.
Well, hey, I'm so glad we decided to put this game on the slate tonight, and I'm so glad we've got Ira with us tonight because wait, more than picking the winner, I want to know, Ira, Which hot seat is hotter? Is it Aranda? Is it Sonny Dykes? What do you think?
Ooh, that's a tough one. That is. I wouldn't want to pick that one. I'm going to leave that alone.
You're going to leave it alone?
No one asks my opinion on anything.
Now.
They don't ask my opinion, so I just wait till things happen and I move on.
Well, it is the political season, I guess.
You running for office?
Yes, it is.
Right. It is, but
not at all. Not at all.
I thought TCU. I thought they would fall apart after they ended up losing that game to Houston and to us. I really thought they would. TCU.
There's still time.
Their win over Tech, though, I thought that was a big one for them. I got to tell you, I cannot wait to get on that TCU Twitter feed tonight after that game goes down and the Baylor Bears beat TCU. That's going to be juicy tonight.
Do you know TCU's won 8 of the last 9 meetings with Baylor, and Dave Aranda has never beaten TCU.
Really?
0-4 until tonight. I'll take the Baylor Bears tonight.
There you go.
Ira Terrell, thanks for joining us tonight. Trust we'll see you Monday night at Moody.
That is the plan.
All right.
Well, I'll be there early. I'm going to watch the girls. I'm going to be there with the girls.
I'll be there too.
I'll hang around.
Hey, I'm disappointed in you, Ira. I just got to let you know before you go. You rode the fence on that one. I thought for sure you'd give us a pick on that.
Well, give me another shot next week or the week after or the week after.
Okay.
Ira, thanks a lot. Appreciate
Thank you, guys. Look forward to it again.
Ira Terrell joining us here on our Pick'em Challenge, brought to you by Origin Bank. They know what strong teams can accomplish by working together. Origin's trusted advisors help you keep your financial goals within reach. Get the right people on your team today at origin.bank, member FDIC. It's SMU and Pitt coming up at 7 o'clock tonight. Scott, final thoughts, couple keys to success for SMU.
Couple of keys for the Mustangs tonight. Key number 1 for SMU, you have to line up properly and get ready on defense. And I know that sounds simple. It is, but it's hard to do against this Pitt team. They like to play fast. They'll snap it within 12 to 15 seconds at times. They're sort of sporadic that way. But a lot of teams are misaligned against them, and they just are not ready to go. So the Mustangs have to be ready to go. Got to be good in the screen game offensively. I think Steve mentioned that just a little bit ago. But nobody blitzes more than the Pitt Panthers. Watch this team tonight. They are going to get after it. They blitz at a very high rate. SMU's offensive line, they've got to be at their best. They have to, and I thought we pass protected very well last week. That has to continue. Key number 3 for the Mustangs, got to win first down. If Kevin Jennings is forced to convert on 3rd and long a whole bunch without R.J. Maryland and without Jake Bailey, this could end up being a long night. When you're missing your top 2 guys from a receiving standpoint against a team that you're going to be forced to throw against more than most, a lot of times it's a choice, won't be a choice tonight because they're going to pack that box. You've got to pass protect, and Jennings has to be good tonight.
It's only the second ever top 20 showdown at Ford Stadium with 20th ranked SMU at 18th ranked Pitt. It comes up at 7 o'clock tonight. Scott, Steve, and I will be on the radio broadcast 96.7 and 1310 The Ticket, the SMU app, as well as Sirius XM Channel 193. Our pregame show starts at 6:30. I will talk to SMU defensive tackle Jared Harrison Hunt, as well as head coach Rhett Lashley, and the kickoff is at 7 o'clock. So be sure you join us over on the radio side tonight. We can't wait for it. A thriller with 7-0 Pitt here tonight to take on 7-1 SMU. We'll be back here in 2 weeks with our next edition of the Pony Up pregame show. Until then, let's all pony up. See you, man.